All right, let's go. So take a look. This is what we're going to do today. We got 5 different positions. We got sitting on your butt, being on your back, on your sides, on your forearms, and on your hands. I think between all those, we'll be able to definitely hit the 4 movements of the spine, which are flexion, curling forward, extension, going back, side bending, and then twisting. The reason why I'm doing this in the first place is just because I want to stay loose. I want to stay loose, I want to stay pliable, I want to stay pain-free. And sometimes between sitting and working out, playing sports, my back gets tight. My hips get tight. So I want this to be a remedy to that. It's not to lose belly fat. That's not why we're fucking here. We're here to just strengthen the muscles around the midsection, which are ultimately 3 different muscle groups. We got the transverse abdominis, which is the deepest muscle, which wraps around our midsection like a tire. On top of that, we have the internal external obliques, which basically run from our ribs and our hips towards the midline. That helps us rotate and side bend. And then we also have the rectus abdominis, which is that 6-pack muscle. All right, that's closest to the surface. That's what you see if you're somewhere between like 10 and 12% body fat or lower, obviously. But anyway, enough. I'm going to set a timer. We got 45 seconds per exercise, 15 seconds rest. We got 15 rounds, which means we're going to be able to make it through this circuit 3 times. And then we got a 4-minute cool down. I'm going to give you modifications as time goes on so that you can just do all these exercises at your level. So first one's going to be on your butt. You're going to sit like this. We're going to start here. We're going to roll back just to loosen up the spine. So take a look. You're going to roll back, roll up. Once you're at the top, practice extending your legs as high as you can. Bring them back, and then roll. This is going to get the abs fired up. It's going to loosen up the lower back. Take a rest. Let's go onto the back now. And we're going to get some rotation in here. We're just going to do a simple bicycle rotational twist. So it's going to look like so. Go at my speed. I like to keep a little bit of space as if I'm holding like a tennis ball in between my chin and my chest. Onto your side, we're going to do just a side plank. If going from the feet is too much, you can go from the knees like that. All right? And then you got 2 choices when it comes to the foot placement. You can stack them or you can stagger them. First time around, we're just going to hold. You do whatever the fuck you want with this hand. I don't care. What I do want you to focus on, though, is not allowing the shoulder to sink in. Try to lift your armpit away from your elbow. Good. We're on to the hands. I'm thinking another little bit of rotation. We'll go knee to opposite forearm. Doesn't have to touch. Call these mountain climbers, I believe, right? I'm gonna go fucking old-fashioned plank for the forearms for the last part of this first round. This time we'll just keep the face over the hands. And when it comes to planks, we want to focus on what we're doing with the pelvis and what we're doing with the shoulder blades. The pelvis is going to be tucked as if you had a tail, and you're tucking it between the legs, and the shoulder blades are going to be protracted as opposed to retracted. So they're being drawn away from one another. And then lastly, as you can see, I'm trying to keep my head in line with my body as opposed to just dropping it down. So there's just a few things to be aware of. Good, round one's done. We're back on our butts. Let's go back to the first one, except this time, if you want a challenge, hold on to the shins and now try rocking and catching yourself up at the top for a second. If not, go back to the first one. This is some Pilates shit. Good. For the side planks this time, we'll do some hip dips. Start to expand and then contract the obliques. So, like I said earlier, you can go staggered or you can go stacked. If you're not ready, go from the knees. And the reason why I like to show these exercises in just an isometric state is to show you that starting with isometrics is the foundation to moving within that exercise. So if you have to just hold a plank for a couple weeks before you do this, that's fine. my computer die? I feel like that shit should have gone off. Just a really long interval. The computer screen went off after the second round, and I wasn't sure if sleep mode was eventually going to shut it down, but let's take 10 more seconds. And then hit the other side. All right, ready? So what I'm doing is I'm basically tapping the side of my hip and then going a little bit above neutral spine so that this the side body is slightly curved at the top. Reason why I'm doing that is I'm just seeking the full range of motion of the oblique on this side and then the spinal erectors, which run up and down the back. Good. Let's throw a push-up. Let's throw 2 push-ups in between those mountain climbers. So we'll go 1, 2, then 2 push-ups. 1, 2, chest to floor. And this time we're going to do a long plank. What I mean by that is hands and feet are going to be further apart from one another. So set up in a normal plank. Then you're just going to walk your feet back. And this just creates a longer lever, which is just harder on your abdominals. Keep everything else in mind though. The pelvis, the shoulders, the head. If it gets to be too much, walk the feet forward. Good. Round 3, coming up. Let's try this one out. Put the hands behind the head, and we're going to do Russian twists with the feet elevated. Okay, on our sides. Instead of dipping the hip, this time we're raising the leg. Block twist. So we're hitting basically the glute mediuses on this, which are the side of the butt muscles. If you can't do it, again, look, from the knees, all good. There's always ways to modify any exercise. You can also take a little bit of a load off of your body by posting on the floor here. Second side is going to be a little bit harder, and it's just because your glutes are already a little bit fatigued from the last one. What you want to focus on here is keeping your body in a straight line, especially your legs, as you're lifting. If you bring this leg forward like this, then the hip flexor will start to come into play, and you won't be isolating that glute medius as much. But it's a good exercise to give attention to that glute medius and minimus. They stabilize the hip. I fucked up the timer. It's already on its cooldown. Let's go to now walking planks. So you can go back and forth, just walking the feet from the face being over the hands to the face being over the elbows. Good. And now this time, let's do a ladder. We'll start with one push-up, work our way up, one at a time, with those mountain climbers in between. Two. 4. 5. Finish them. Good. All right. Let me show you our cool down. So we're gonna put our attention into our hip flexors. So we're gonna do a couch stretch with a wall. So the further the knee is away from the wall, the less intense it'll be. Everyone tries to be a fucking hero, and they've never done it before, and put their knee 6 inches from the wall. And they have a stroke when they first go into it. You ever done this before? Just barely put your foot up the wall. Other leg, 90-degree angle in the back of the knee. And now from here, tuck the pelvis like you were doing in that plank. And stay upright. It's going to stretch the quad and the hip flexor. So now we're going to do lunges forward while keeping the chest up. We'll go for 45. Alignment-wise, I am looking for that back heel to be aligned with my sit bone, and for this front leg to be in line with the hip socket. Breathe. Switch up the other side. Each side one more time. I know it's a bit redundant, but it's gonna help. You'll notice you'll probably be able to get a little more range of motion. You'll be able to go a little bit more forward and down this time around. That's normal. Still focus on keeping that pelvis tucked. So another reason why I like to do these ab exercises and these hip flexor stretches is because it keeps my pelvis in a neutral state. The pelvis can be in a tucked state. It could also be in a anteriorly tilted state. We want to stay in that middle ground, because if it's in one or the other, that means that there's muscle imbalance in either strength or length. It's setting you up for injuries. So I hope you feel better. I know I do. I feel a little more compact here and looser in here, which is what I want. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you need any more support. But thanks for joining, and I will see you in the next one.